Okay, so this is Leroy Moore, Black Disabled Men Talk, and this is our show. We try to do it once a month. This is going to be for March, and the topic is what is Black Ableism, and what's the difference between being disabled and being politically disabled. So we're going to go around, introduce ourselves, and before we get into the topic, of course, we're going to talk about Public Enemy's latest news. So let's go to, what did I say before? Keith? Was it Keith first?
No, it's Ottis.
Oh, Ottis. Okay, Ottis. Sorry, Ottis.
It's all good. Hey family, my name's Ottis. I'm a African American artist or graphic designer out of California, Winter Valley, California. I'm also a comic book creator and a poet. And right now, I'm finishing up a book I'm planning on presenting, addressing how African spirituality has become the new prosperity gospel. And that's it.
Yes. And I didn't introduce myself, so I'm gonna jump in before Keith. Leroy Moore here from Berkeley, California, activist, author, radical activist. I don't believe in progressive BS, but yeah, author, Krip-Hop founder, and that's it. Peace.
Well, my name is Keith Jones. I'm an activist, entrepreneur, public speaker, / also co-founder of Krip-Hop. Currently working on 911 million different projects, all at the same time, that all have deadlines like yesterday. But the one thing that I'm glad we're doing this, because right now, this is a very interesting time. Even though Public Enemy is sort of like an off topic, it really goes to the heart of what we're going to talk about today.
So Lateef, you ready?
I am Lateef McLeod, and a man with cerebral palsy with radical politics. I currently am a PhD student in the Anthropology and Social Change program at California Institute of Integral Studies in San Francisco. I just published my second poetry book, Whispers of Krip Love, Shouts of Krip Love, and is available online or directly through me, and I'm happy to be here speaking to you gentlemen.
That's what's up.
Okay, so we're all here. And the first topic is the latest of Public Enemy, hip hop group, black hip hop group from the 80s. And the topic is, of course, everybody knows that Chuck D fired Flavor Flav. So I wanted to bring this up because I think it's important for what we're doing as Black disabled men, and I just want to get your views on that, before we go to the main topic. So I'm gonna say my views until later. So Keith.
No.
Keith, what are your views? Because I know we did an interview with you, Keith, and you talked about your early days in hip hop, and you talked about meeting Chuck D. So now the cycle has turned back around. So Keith, you want to take it away?
No, I don't. See how you do me? Anyway, so I don't. So to be fair, I don't really know the entirety of why Flavor Flav initially sent the cease and desist. Now, that being said, so whatever the political or whatever the back and forth is beyond that, that's not my concern. What is quite interesting is that the brand of Public Enemy is what? So for you to be at a Bernie Sanders rally, who and either and full disclosure, I felt the burn in 2016 because I wasn't running, but now I'm here. So that's a different. It's a whole different game. And when you can come out and you can talk about you're not down for reparations, you're making these kind of statements, yada yada yada, whatever. But both of you all, as much as I like Bernie, well, understand, and agree with him on a lot of things, you all are still functioning inside an antiquated, static system that is not going to radically address the problems that are facing Black America. So if that's your brand, Public Enemy, then you need to hold to that brand. So I don't really understand the whole, like you mad because he's like, nah, don't be putting my face up there. Like, I mean, he has that right. But at the same time, it's a reflection on how Joe Biden now all of a sudden is the man. Because Black people ran behind Joe Biden in South Carolina. So the shift of, so every 4 years, you Negroes become important. Meanwhile, day 2, 3, 4, 5, and 100, how many have been shot dead, incarcerated, wrongly convicted, yada, yada, yada. And in 50 years of my existence. So to watch Chuck D fire Flavor Flav, for whatever the reasons are, it is, you know what it is? It is absolutely what I would expect after I met him. Because of course he would do that. Of course he would. Like it's performance art. I mean, there may be some true Chuck D in there, but like, if y'all really want to talk about some damn revolution, your song was shut them down. Shut them down. Shut them down. So now you shutting down Flavor Flav. You didn't shut down Flavor Flav when he was doing Flavor of Love on VH1. So now you're gonna shut. Come on, man. But whatever. So I mean, just to wrap it up, I think it is indicative of what Black, quote, progressiveness is in terms of politics, in terms of social integration, and in terms of where we see ourselves, particularly those with a voice or a platform. So why, you know what I mean? So, but that's it.
Okay, thank you, Keith. Otis, you want to take this one before I go?
You're on mute.
Otis, your mic is off.
Can y'all hear me now? My bad.
Yeah.
I said I'll try. I'm not really a Public Enemy fan like that, so I don't have a whole lot of foundation to pull from. But one of my biggest issues is it shows how much influence celebrities have over Black political analysis. And to me, that's my biggest beef with it. Like, I feel like Public Enemy nor Flavor Flav should have such a huge stage in regards to shaping how we understand politics. I felt the same way about Beyonce and Jay-Z when it came last year, well, not last year, but 2016 when they was riding for Hillary Clinton. I felt the same exact way. Celebrities should not be able, I mean, even if your history is making quote unquote Black radical music, how it may be, you still shouldn't be political commentary. You can have some type of say, and we can hear you out, but in regards to shaping the collective understanding of politics, I don't agree with it. And I can understand both sides of the field. Like, one people say, well, Bernie Sanders is the less evil out of all of them, and you could have some type of progressive policies in order to alleviate some of the problems that the people face currently. I can understand that. And then I can understand the other side, well, no matter who gets in office, you still gonna have exploitation, you still gonna have genocide, you still gonna have Fortune 500 companies slaughtering the people. So I can definitely understand both sides. But yeah, I think Chuck D and I think Flavor Flav, they have too much of the spotlight in regards to Black political analysis.
Okay, thank you, Otis. I'm gonna go and then Lateef. Okay, Lateef. Yeah. So I think exactly how Otis thinks. I don't care what Chuck D thinks. I don't care what Flavor Flav thinks. I never care what Jay-Z thinks. I mean, I really don't care. Just point blank. And you're gonna throw away a whole group for Bernie for a white man. it's yeah. At first when I heard about it and I heard all the hoopla, I was like, all right, play that in some awful, some like awful stuff in the past, like Otis said, somebody said, when he was on MTV, that right there would cut him off. I was like, come on, we suddenly a black, quote unquote radical group, on MTV, so yeah, my thing is like, I don't care what Public Enemy thinks, I really care what the issue is, Bernie Sanders hasn't come out for reparations, when it comes down to it, of course, if it's Bernie or Donald Trump, I gotta hold my nose and pull that lever and come back home and take a shower.
But do you have to? Because that's the paradox, right? Like do you have to? Because every time we get to a pressure point in the country, people default back. And one of the crazy things about it is that 49% of the country did not vote of voting age. 49%. So and if you think about it, we not watching politics. Dude, we watching American Idol, dog. We're like, that's like, so people are casting votes via Twitter. So I didn't mean to cut it off. It's just like, because nobody cares about what Chuck D says anymore. Because if you're gonna stand up and have a political rally with a mainstream candidate, when you literally were talking like your entire brand is revolution. Mm-hmm. This is not revolution. This is Bernie Sanders working within an established political structure in order to attain something. Yeah. Versus real revolution, where I'm gonna run an independent candidate, be an independent campaign, and this is what it is. That's democracy. This is bullshit with them. I think it's kind of funny though, because you're right. Like he was on MTV with Bridget Nielsen.
Yeah. Okay, Lateef, it's all you.
Yes.
I just heard of this breakup now, but I am thinking, why just now when Flavor Flav was shucking and jiving all this time on reality TV? What was the impetus again? Was it because Flav, 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 A. Flav did not want to support Bernie. What was the impetus again? Was it because Flavor did not want to support Bernie?
Yeah, I'm not really sure. Like I wasn't even paying attention to, like, I was just minding my business. They were like, Flavor Flav got fired. Like, what? How do you like? That's like, you've been a group for 900,000 years. So whatever the beef is, but apparently it's around the Bernie Sanders rally and the Public Enemy performance. Leroy, what is it? Like, he didn't want.
Yeah, so Bernie used Public Enemy's, I don't know, song or something for his rally, and Flavor Flav said, you can't do that because I'm not down with Bernie. And Chuck D says, I own PE, so I can put PE's name into anything. And after Chuck D said that, then Chuck D fired Flavor Flav. So that's the issue.
That's just, I'm sorry, but isn't that like the antithesis of the image of the rebel group, Public Enemy? Like, that's a corporate America move.
Yeah.
That's a corporate America move. That's not, we got 3 decades worth of, and legitimately, it was a symbiotic relationship, because as tough as your lyrics was, without your hype man, it's safe to say Public Enemy would not be Public Enemy without the iconic Chuck D and the iconic Flavor Flav.
Yeah.
So, whatever. But, I guess your blackness has an expiration date.
Exactly. Okay, last words on this little TV. If you have any last words, we can go on to the main course. No? All right, so you want to say something to this before we go on?
Oh yeah, I was just gonna say this is why it's important that we define words, and that's why I'm so big on it. Like, define what progressive is, define what a revolution is, define what socialism is. And when you don't define words, then anybody can come and hijack it and market themselves as that. Like, for example, I seen a video where they was contrasting Dr. King talking points and contrasting Dr. King political analysis with Bernie Sanders political analysis. And to me, it was a watered down version of what Dr. King was talking about, or what Dr. King was speaking about. It was saying how Bernie Sanders and Dr. King rhetoric railing against capitalism and railing against people like Trump. But it's so surface level, because Dr. King was talking about the establishment itself, not just the individual. And when we're talking about Trump, we're talking about individual. Dr. King was also talking about race and forcing the American government to assist in fixing the damage they created via shadow slavery, via Jim Crow. Feel me? Bernie Sanders is not talking about reparations though. So I'm not saying that I'm not gonna vote for Bernie Sanders, because talking about giving Black people reparations. I'm saying I don't like quote unquote liberals borrowing our Black revolutionaries and borrowing bits and pieces and bits of soundbite from them and then using that to market Bernie Sanders. I feel like Bernie Sanders should be able to stand by himself. And if he's your hero, then allow him to be that, be your hero. But you don't need to water down our revolutionaries to fit your agenda. So that's why I really don't like I don't like them taking sound bites from our revolutionaries and from our heroes to market their agenda. Because if anything, we could talk about Dr. King letter from Birmingham jail when he said it was the white liberals and the white centrists who was a bigger issue than white racists was. So if you really want to talk about Dr. King, let's talk about the whole gamut of what Dr. King was saying. I feel like this right now with them rehashing Dr. King is why we got such a watered down version of a lot of our revolutionaries that we do now, like Frederick Douglass, like W.D. Du Bois, and like Dr. King. Feel me? I feel like this more contributes to the misinformation than it does benefit us. Like right now, it feels good to say, but later on, our kids gonna have this misunderstanding like we do now of what our Black revolutionaries was really saying. Like for example, they were saying fascism is here. George Jackson was saying that in the 1960s, 1970s. It took white people 2020 in order to figure out fascism has finally arrived. But our revolutionaries already said that. They have already told us this 60, if not 100 years ago. But because we listen to white liberals and we allow them to regurgitate some watered down talking point from our revolutionaries, we think it's brand new. We think it's radical. So I just think this shows why it's crucial for us to define what is revolution and what isn't revolution, what is a revolutionary and what isn't a revolutionary.
Mm. Amen. Amen. And thank you, Otis. So can we go on to the main topic? Is that okay with people?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the main topic, I'm really psyched to get into this. You know, one is, what is Black ableism? You know, we like Otis said, you know, we need to really define our terms and define what is happening to us. So what is ableism? You know, why have it, you know, been popping up? How is it holding us back? You know, and what is the difference between just being disabled, you know, compared to being politically disabled? So these are the terms that I came up with earlier this year and really want to hash it out, especially for our Black disabled community. So that's the introduction. Who wants to dive into it first? Or do you want me to dive in it, or you know what do we want to do first?
You can jump in it, fam. We'll follow your lead.
Okay, so for me, and I hope for the rest of us, Black ableism is just like it says, Black ableism. You know, ableism is a discrimination toward disabled people, and you put Black in front of it, dealing with Black disabled people. But it's a difference between white ableism and Black ableism, because we have a whole history of you know, slavery, you know, oppression, and because we you know, this is only my interpretation, so please, you know, give yours, but because of the white master, you know, not influencing us, but beating us out of our identities, into their identities. You know, unfortunately, I think that we took up, you know, some of the master's ways. And because of that, we took up their views on disability. And, you know, and under slavery, it was, you know, you're dead if you're disabled. That's point blank. If you can't work the fields, you're dead. And, you know, because of Christianity, you know, all about the healing and the sins and all that stuff. And I think that the Black community is still holding, or still having this Black ableism, because we never we could not enjoy the white disability rights movement because of racism. So Black ableism for me is, one, of course, attitudes, you know, discriminating attitudes against Black disabled people, but also it's the outdated framework that we took from white masters around disability, and we're still holding to that now. So that's only me, but I'm gonna shut up and let people talk. Who wants to go next? Lateef.
The Black community has to face the fact that it has a problem with ableism. The Black community in America still has a lot of misconceptions about disabled people and disability community. Because of these misconceptions, the Black community often unintentionally have obliged interactions with Black disabled people, with Black people of an older generation, like the boomer generation. They grew up without living with many visible-looking disabled people in their community. By the time their community was more accessible thanks to the American Disability Act, and disabled people started to live in the community instead of institutions thanks to the Olmstead Act, the boomers and older generation X was used to live in a disability-free society, so they didn't know how to interact with us properly. So currently we have misconceptions and fear in the Black community that we have to combat with disability justice education and more interactions between us and them. We also need to consider that people in the African American community have consumed propaganda that's shown disabled people in a derogatory light. Also, since the days of American slavery, Black people were mislabeled as all having intellectual disabilities in an attempt to justify enslavement and white supremacy. I think in the Black community's attempts to prove our intelligence and ability has led some of the Black community to distance themselves from Black people with intellectual disabilities and other disabilities. So we also have to be cognizant of that social dynamic.
Yes, thank you, Lateef. Keith, you were jumping in before Lateef. You want to go next?
Oh, sure. Wasn't jumping in. I was just saying, preach, because it's fact. It's not. One of the random things about the fact that you even have to coin the term Black ableism is because it actually exists, right? So it's not that we're sitting here and being hyperbolic. So Lateef experienced it, Ottis experiences it, you experience it, I experience it. And then we go and do this work. And then people are shocked that when we show up at certain events, oh, Like, if you go to a black church, they want to pray to heal you. So the contradiction that you ask is, but if God don't make no mistakes, and this is what I have, why are you trying to take away what God gave me? If I'm using your logic, right? So, is there Black ableism? Hell to the yes. That ain't even like that's not even, because within the community, and it's a weird kind of dynamic too, because it's like within your family, it's kind of ableist, but it's not because you family. But but if you see a bunch of us, then you don't want to hang with us, but you'll hang with your cousin, right? Like, my cousin ain't like them, right? Like because you done fit into what the people was talking about, the stereotypes of what a disabled person is. Like dating as a Black man, wanting to date a Black woman with or without a disability. So now the compounding of the stereotype about Black men and what you're stereotyping about disability, and the fact that you are being unconsciously prejudiced towards my human condition. And we Black. And you supposed to be my queen, I'm your king, up until I got a pair of crutches. then you can't love with me. Like, come on, man. Like, oh, yes, oh, Black man, I honor you, I love you. Oh, there's nobody. Wait a minute. What do you mean, Lateef, you want to go out on a date? What do you mean, that you want to, like, oh, Black man, Leroy, wait, we cool, right? So, and then turn around and then be pissed at the same time, like, well, that's why he dated a white woman. See, because what's the old adage? All the good Black men were what? Dead, gay, or in jail. On marriage. And they don't talk about Black men. But if you're talking about ableism and how that works, it's because they look at us and say, I can't see myself in a man with a disability. And this is even women with disabilities. Like I'm a Black one, like, yeah, yo, let me holler at you. Like, what do you mean? And then you catch yourself reverting into the get like so you have to. So it's nuanced because it's interwoven in our daily existence. Because as much as we try to push and be pro-Black, we have. At least I have not seen a lot of people who are conscious of their own biases and work to overcome those biases. And so my family loves me to death, but they are very much ableist when it comes to certain things. And it's not because they don't love me. That's just the stew that we're cooking in. So.
Oh yes, take it away.
Yeah, I definitely had them experiences where you got that pastor come up, we're gonna pray for your healing. I know actually that's what got me into African spirituality, because it didn't make sense. Like, okay, I'm 29 years old. Back then when it happened, I was probably 21. I'm like, if God really wanted me to be born differently, why he didn't fix me in the womb? Like, that seemed like an ass backward strategy. I'm gonna wait until you come out. I'm gonna wait 21 years or 25 years after the fact. I'm gonna wait until this random ass guy lay hands on you, and then I'm gonna miraculously heal your body. Like, that just it didn't make much sense to me, and that's when I started questioning stuff. And then one of my favorite experiences was when I remember the movie. I went to go see Megamind with my family, and there was this elderly brother who was sitting on the bench in the hallway. And he came to me, he said, "Excuse me, young brother, you know why you in a wheelchair?" I'm like, "No, I'm about to entertain you." He said, "Because either you or your parents did something effed up in a past life."
Yeah.
You had that one?
Oh my God, man. Oh my God, man.
So it's not just me then.
No.
Okay.
And then
Yes.
then he wanted to pray for me.
Yes.
Yeah. And to me, it was like, it seemed so superficial. And that's why I go with what Dr. Amos Wilson said. All of these isms, ableism, sexism, racism, all of them are like branches on a tree. The tree itself is white aggression, white domination, and colonialism. You could attack these branches all day long, but new branches will grow in its place. So the culture we exist in is the ableist culture. Like, I don't know if y'all remember, but in 2008, when in 2008 economic collapse happened, who did they blame? They blamed the elderly and the
Oh yeah.
disabled. I was
Yeah.
telling them, I was like, y'all don't remember before March on Wall Street, you had all them disabled people out there marching for
Yeah.
their benefits because they was blaming the baby boomers, and they was also blaming the disabled people for soaking up so much of quote unquote SSI and Social Security. And people will be looking at me like, oh, if you get that once in a month check, I know you got paper. I'm like, I promise you, I don't even see none of that money. By the time the bills come, it's all gone. You feel me? So people look at me like, you got paper, don't you? No. Who told you this? And it be, a lot of it be them stereotypes in movies and stand-ups. You know them stand-ups where I'm gonna go find me a disabled man, someone on SSI, cause at least they got a guaranteed check coming in the mail once a month. Like, it's not like that, player. It's not like
No,
that.
I promise you it ain't like that. Like, because if it was, do you think we would be rolling down the street protesting?
No.
Like, come on, man. Come on.
But that's the culture we exist in. I mean, the U.S. government threw all disabled people under the bus. The issue wasn't the banks. The issue wasn't the wealthy 1%. The issue wasn't the corrupt housing authorities. The issue was you had too many disabled people on Social Security.
Yes.
That was the issue, and people ran with it. So that tells you how much ableism exists when a lie like that could be so easily gobbled up. Feel me? So
Yeah. I know. I want to share a story. In like 1979, 80, me and 3 other Black disabled teenagers or pre-teenagers, we did a letter campaign. This was before computers. And we wrote to the NAACP, Urban League, Jesse Jackson, Rainbow Collection, you know, everybody, you know, Black Panthers, everybody. And we all said, you know, where are Black disabled people? And we got foreign letters back saying that there's nothing out there. And this was 1979, 1980. You know? It's like, wow, now I'm 52 years old. It's like, what has changed in the Black community around disability? You know, Black ableism, I mean, that's like tying our hands together when we're disabled already. And, you know, I don't know, you know, we had all this, you know, disability studies, women's studies, Black studies, and you show up as being Black and disabled, and you're like, oh, there's nothing for me, you know, there's nothing for me. I'm gonna graduate with this piece of paper and get on SSI, and that's it. You know, I can't knock on Black Lives Matter doors because they had no clue about disability. You know, I can't go to NAACP. You know, I can't go to my Black Radical brother on the corner. You know, so it's, you know, you know, at age 52, I just like, wow, this is it? You know, this is it? And, you know, I'm saying that, but I'm also saying that we are doing stuff, you know, we are doing stuff. But if you look at the bigger picture, especially in this election year, it's like, wow. are you saying that we don't exist in the Black agenda? We don't exist in the disabled agenda. So I got that shot. Lateef McLeod.
Which one, me?
Yeah, Keith.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm just going to go with what you just said, and in terms of right now. So no, there is no Black disabled political agenda. So are you politically disabled or Black and this Black ableist? You're all. So it's a sliding scale, right? So like if you look at the scale, it's like, okay, so you're either one thing. So it's like, okay, I'm politically on the margins. But then you say, okay, I'm Black and politically on the margins. I'm disabled, I'm Black, and I'm full Black disabled on the margins. So once you get to we're on the edge of the margin. So like if you're on the edge of the margins and the people who are on the margins aren't talking to you, then what does that mean? And it's nothing. And then, and I guess I'm sorry, I may be a little bitter, but Leroy, how is it that every time we show up, people get shocked? How? Every time. Oh my God, Ottis, I didn't know you were interested in. Well, I mean, I would love for you to come to our event, but I'm not sure this would. But you want civil rights. And you want reparations, and you want the white man, but you can't do the fundamental core of social justice, which is fighting for every freaking human, which means that you should be conscious of Black disabled people. At worst, you shouldn't be shocked when my Black ass roll up in the wheelchair. Oh, I didn't know. And then that's when they go find the entrance, but it's usually around the corner behind the dumpster. And then then somebody has to go pick your wheelchair up and bring it in the door so you can get in. Yeah, been down that road.
And I want to say, like, every issue that the Black community has come out, disability is like front and center, and they don't look at it. Okay, we talk about reparations. After slavery was quote unquote done, Black disabled people were still slaves a decade later after that. Nobody talks about that. You know, we all talk about Black Lives Matter and, police brutality. I like, are you serious? This last week, we saw Black little teens, getting 5150 and being into the psych ward. It's like, hello, that's not on your agenda, Black agenda. Black disabled kids are being in psych wards, being called in by, school officers, and not even calling their parents, taking them to the psych ward. So I just, it's 2020 and still Black ableism is just silencing us in all kinds of movements.
I don't know. I guess I can see both it being the good and the bad of Black disabled people being left out of the quote unquote Black agenda. Because I'll be honest, there is no Black agenda. Like what we call a Black agenda is really a white agenda with Black faces represented. If anything, the 2020 elections have showed us is that all of these Black people with titles and organization, they're all fronts. All it takes is one Mike Bloomberg with one paycheck. All it takes is one Elizabeth Warren. Even Donald Trump got Black support. I mean, so if anything, 2020 elections have shows that all of this quote unquote Black excellence we've been celebrating is a facade. It really doesn't mean nothing. And so I think us being left out of these illusionary Black organizations, because like the Black Caucus is not a Black organization. The Black DNC is not a Black organization. You got Black people in it, but they are not Black organizations. I think the one good thing about it, it allows us to shape our platform and to shape our own identity. Because most of these Black organizations are really integrationalist groups. That's why I really appreciate the Diallo Kenyatta analysis. I also appreciate Dr. Jerry Ball analysis. Although they both disagree on this 2020 election, and I think they both have fundamental points that are very well articulated that I appreciate. But the reason why Diallo Kenyatta do not agree with feminism is because it has nothing to do with women empowerment and everything to do with putting women in a position so they can engage in colonialism, so they can engage in exploitation. And a lot of these for quote unquote pro Black groups do the same thing. It's about putting Black people in position so we can engage in colonialism, so we can engage in exploitation. LGBT communities groups do the same thing. It's about putting the LGBT groups in a place where they can exploit and where they can engage in colonialism too. So I feel like from the outside looking in, because I'm not a part of it, I can learn from it. You feel me? I can see where they slipping up. I can see where I can modify myself so I don't make them same mistakes. But again, being small do help because ableism is a big issue in our community. So in order to get over it, they'll usually carry me outside my wheelchair. Like, you small enough, let me pick you up and take you in. But I know everybody not small as me, so you can't get away with doing that to everybody. You feel me? So I'm fortunate in that, right? So yes, ableism is a huge issue, but I think with us being excluded, it's a blessing and a curse at the same time.
Issue. I think sometimes that Black intellectuals and activists got used to having disability not on their radar, that they cannot comprehend how to deal with the issue, unless they are forced to address the issue.
Yep. Now the irony is, you call them Black intellectuals, right? So if you're an intellectual, this is not a hard discussion. It's not. Let's just cut the chase, okay? If you are doing social justice, say it again for the people in the back that lack. You cannot half-ass it. I'm fighting for LGBTQ rights. Okay, well, here's my friend who's Black, transgender, and in a wheelchair, and who uses communication devices. Wait, what? Oh, so now she not part of your community no more? So which part negated her LGBTQ? Was it the community? Was it the communication device? Was it the wheelchair that trumped her identity? I'm trying to figure this out. So you cannot, so anybody in here, and let's all circle back for 1 second. If you are making a profit in social justice, you are not doing social justice. And some people may just, now you do enough till you can eat. Because as much as I want criminal justice reform, that my ass is slipped under a bridge. And I can't put no clothes on my kid's back, right? But at what price faith, right? At what price justice reform? So for articulate, intelligent African American men, Black men on this thing to be discussing these things in the millennia in which the debate of a major political party is foundational, predicated upon the Black voter turnout. And yet, they grandbabies, because grandbabies we always special. Our grandmamas love us to death. My grandmother carted me everywhere, and they always said, Mother Harold, can we pray for your baby? And because she was a descendant of a sharecropper, descendant of a slave. And here we are having discussions with Black intellectuals about 1/5 of the population. If you call them Black intellectuals again, we might have to have a fight. Because what does intellectual apply? It implies intelligence, right? That you have an intellect. So you should be able to take a new variable into the discussion, particularly when the incidences of disability are 4 times higher within the Black community. So I don't know how the hell they skipped over us.
Well, you know, also that's the part of our educational system, because we're getting these PhDs and it's only, you know, Cornel West can talk, you know, until doomsday about Black issues, but don't have a clue about disability issues. You know, I confronted him years ago, no clue, and he still has no clue. Michael Eric Dyson, I ran into him at the DNC in Boston. And he promised me, he's like, yeah, I'm going to get some education on that. 2029. So once again, our educational system forces us to specialize in one thing, and once we graduate and get hit out on the head around other issues, all of a sudden we have Kimberly Crenshaw talking about intersectionality. Dude, come on. I know my mom was a woman in Black and disabled. I don't need a PhD to say, oh my God, in 2007, oh, this is new. Come on. Are you serious?
Well, see, Leroy, what you're asking, and this goes to what Ottis had mentioned and what Lateef had mentioned, but what you're asking and what we're asking people to do is to get beyond themselves, right? So the fundamental thing about, particularly if you have a visible disability, is somebody who doesn't have it or doesn't perceive themselves as having one. So looks at you and says, but for the grace of God, there go I. And when they look at you, that's why when you do something beyond like breathing, it's a miracle. Hallelujah, praise Jesus. Lateef, look at you, you blink, thank you, Jesus. Right? And so when you get to that stage of the game, you just kind of fall back. So you're asking people to get beyond themselves. So to ask a person who has hit the jackpot in terms of being on the lecture circuit, the intellectual elite, and have, you know, things like this, and I'm the go-to guy or the go-to late or whatever. And so academia is just as incestuous as Wall Street. It's just as incestuous as social justice. Why have you not seen emerging leadership come from the Black community in the last 40 years? Why have you not seen the fact that the disability movement was predicated upon the civil rights movement, and we claim everything else? The let some crippled people say, yeah, we took it. Well, let Justin Timberlake sing Marvin Gaye. They will burn down the radio station. But you talk about social justice, silence, right? You talk about the fact that there's studies that we can predict your outcome by zip code. If you can present my outcome by zip code and then you turn to me and say 4 out of 10 students with disabilities are substantially segregated. In 2018, the Department of Justice had to file a lawsuit against the state of Georgia for segregating students with this. You can't tell me you're an intellectual. You cannot tell me you're well-versed on any political topic. And because you don't have the experience, well, Leroy, I'm not really able to discuss in depth about it. You don't know about housing. You don't know about Brown versus Board of Education, which is the fundamental bedrock tenet of Black education in this country, and how that relates to people with disabilities. So no, the next time somebody says, I'm politically disabled, no, you don't do that to us. Because if 49% of the country does not vote, that means the other half are fervent addicts. I mean, the Democratic Party and the Republican Party are religions now. They're not pragmatic, practical, problem-solving political entities. Because there's no way you can get voted and elected and not say, hey, Otis, Flint's still dying from poisoned water. I got an idea. Let's pass a law say you can't kill the people with their own water. That problem solved, right? So if you want to be, so I don't really understand when they say we're studying the issue, we're intellectuals. And well, prove me wrong by coming up with a solution and don't have a debate about it.
Lateef, you want to jump in?
My question. My question is if the information is out there, and as a scholar who is my question is if the information is out there, and as a scholar who is I in grad school, I know for a fact that the inform. My question is if the information is out there, and as a scholar who is in grad school, I know for a fact that the information is there. Why? The F fuck do these people and not inform themselves on the available literature on disability. My question is if the information is out there, and as a scholar who is in grad school, I know for a fact that the information is there. Why the fuck do these people not inform themselves on the available literature on disability?
Now, Lateef, now you know using logic is against the law. You cannot do that. You cannot ask a very obvious question that is not allowed. Because again, if you are a scholar on all things Black, right? I'll just take the wild guess. And so, at some point, you might stumble across disability. Maybe in the blues. You had to listen to Stevie Wonder. You don't know Ray Charles. Okay. You don't know Pegway Willie. Everybody knew the local cripple in the neighborhood. You don't know. But you're a scholar. And you're versed on all things Black. So that means, again, that you understand that the underpinning of Brown versus Board of Education was that if we let the Negroes go, they're going to want the cripples to go too. So how do you not know if you are an intellectual? Because then the question then becomes, are you just not versed because you just never had interest in the topic? But then again, you're making social commentary on things that, particularly if you're talking about police brutality. 7 out of 10 of those people who are facing police brutality are people with disabilities. So how do you not know that if you're talking about police brutality? If you're talking about sexual assault, 7 out of 10 women have some form of intellectual disability who are being sexually assaulted or molested. If you want to talk about it, well, let's talk about it. But you can't skip over this. But again, you're being intellectual. So,
but again, Keith, it's like I go back to the beginning, is that the Black community is still carrying the slave master's teaching. They still see disability as a sin, as something to overcome, or something to just close the door. They don't see it as a culture, they don't see it as a study, they don't see it as a history, they don't see it as music, they don't see it as nothing.
Well, I guess one of the questions I would ask y'all is, how are people? Okay, I'm sorry, because it just like I get stuck at the level of stupidity. Like the level of stupidity, and it's not even like unintentional; it's chosen stupidity. So how do you get people to even to appreciate the spectrum of humanity? Because in order for you to see me as a damaged human, you have to have a certain level where humanity has to be okay for you to consider us a human. So if by my human condition, I'm not worthy of you calling me a human, then you can segregate me. Even as you are segregating Black people, white people. So of course you're not going to use the healthy baby that looks good. You're going to use the crippled baby that came out with spina bifida as prime alligator baby. This is where we are. So how do you get Black people to accept Black people? Black people you can't get Black people to accept Black trans people. They can't accept Black, so how are they going to accept Black disabled people? And then what do they do? Self-hatred. Because if you love your Blackness, then you love every condition that it comes in, whether you agree with it or not. But then again, you're being an intellectual. So, I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, you want to
jump? Black people gotta start looking at the world through our own eyes. Cause, like for example, education. I always say Black people don't know what education is. Amos Wilson said there's no such thing as standard education, right? Because education, the function of education is to teach you how to wield power and how to govern the nation. That's supposed to be the function of an education. What we call education is indoctrination system. It has nothing to do with empowering yourself or the root word of education, meaning to pull out. It has nothing to do with pulling out your talents, with pulling out your humanity, with pulling out your own philosophy, your own understanding of the world. The only function the indoctrination system serves in the West is how much can we profit from you? How much education can or information can we or indoctrination can we give you so you could be profitable for the establishment? And since disabled bodies are not built to be maximum utilities for the establishment, we're disposable, if you will. For me, because that's all the West is about. The way I define you as a human is how much money you make. The way I define you as a human is how well do you contribute to the system. Like, for example, Dr. Jared Ball, he had this co-worker that wrote a book about how the HBCUs and the government connection and why the government is now investing in STEM programs in Black colleges. And the reason why the government invests in STEM programs in Black colleges to bring more Black people on board in creating technology. Not technology for the betterment of humanity, but technology for the improvement of the military. Feel me? So even Black people talking about, well, we want our kids to compete. We need our kids in the STEM program. And what they gonna do? What are they gonna do? Build more effective weapons for the killing machine?
Well, and this goes back to the question. The question again is, how do you separate people from themselves? So, one of the things that I would love humans who claim to be intelligent to do is to apply said intelligence. The government as it is structured, right? Because people are like, you can't fight the system. Well, the system is not an organic thing. It does not exist in nature. It is not. It is like you don't wake up in the morning, go down and go get a box of system and throw it in the dirt and then it pops the shit up. This is human construct of a human policy that is directed to effectuate certain outcomes towards certain individuals on the human continuum. And as long as people keep saying, well, the government gonna do, well, I will tell you what, Donald Trump can be a dictator. No dictator exists solely by sheer will. Everybody, they exist because those that support them see something beneficial in that dictator taking power. Trump got away with what he's doing because Mitch McConnell and the entire GOP see that there's a benefit to keeping him in power. Disability is not seen as a benefit to any political power base or economic base. Therefore, so the natural magnetic attraction in a consumer-based economy predicated upon racism and capitalism. We don't have anything they want. Like, actually, we are the drain on the system. We are the antithesis of what they want. So, and if you remember the commercialism of self-hatred, why do you want to have your hair fried, dyed, laid to the side? That's not the natural state of Black hair, right? So it's okay to want to have cosmetic traits, but if you're going to talk about Blackness, you're going to talk about humanity, then don't say that we're the original and then cast off those who don't look perfect. We're the original humans, yes, but that means we came in every shape and form and fashion.
Yeah. And, it's interesting because if you go back in time, Black disabled people, one, they led us to freedom. Harry Tubman was disabled.
Yep.
I mean, the whole music industry was worth of Black blind men. So it's like, don't tell us that we're not, we're not, whatever, we're not worthy of being studied. We are the system, And because of white settlers put capitalism all over this country, and say, okay, you are important, you are not important, then we follow into that same system. Like Keith said, intelligence is intelligence. Intelligence doesn't come from an institution. Intelligence comes from critically thinking. Like I said with that story about me and two other Black disabled boys. We didn't do it for a school project. We did it on our own because we could critique the system. And I was like 10, 11 years old, I think, it's just, I can go on.
Preach, brother, preach. I don't mean to jump in. Y'all can tell me to shut up if you want.
No,
but it's just one of those things, because like when you said it, you were like, you a PhD student, which means you are in a quest for knowledge, right? Right? So that like regardless of what the topic is, but I mean, like you doing your education thing, like it's a quest for you to be smarter, to know more, right? Like, so if you're Black, yeah. So like if you sitting there, so if I'm sitting here saying I want to be a policy guy about healthcare, I have to know healthcare. I can't say I just want to know about, the early stages of it or like urgent care. I need to know it from beginning to end. If you're going to talk about being a voice for the Black community, gay Black kids with disabilities should not be voiceless. Single mothers with disabilities should not be voiceless. Homeless people with disabilities should not be voiceless. Kids who are trapped in the educational system that literally warehouses them until they're 22 to ship them into either A, abject poverty, or B, to the penal system. You should know this. And in the 2020 election cycle, everybody got a disability platform all of a sudden. I was crippled in 2017 when you was in office. What happened? And oh, by the way, isn't your job as a senator to write the legislations in order to fix the problems facing our community? So why when you run for president, now all of a sudden you got a plan? All of a sudden now you got a miracle solution? Because you sure ain't spending no money on school infrastructure. You sure not spending no money on making sure that cities are universally designed so that we can age in place. You sure not making sure that we're not having health-related disabilities because our environment is being poisoned. You sure ain't doing that. And this is before you decided to run for president. Because all of this shit was here before we started.
Yeah. My mind going a million miles an hour, so forgive me some of it's jumbo. But this is why I don't really care about Black History Month. I don't care about Black History Month because we don't celebrate Black empowerment. We celebrate Blackness utility for the white establishment, meaning the first Black so-and-so part of this white organization. Or like how Trump appointed that female Black general, Matlock, as U.S. Marine General. Like, why is that part of Black history? What does the U.S. Marine go do in the vested interests of Black people? Or Obama, for example, what did Obama do in the vested interests of Black people? Or Clarence Thomas, how is Clarence Thomas of U.S. Supreme Court do anything for the vested interests of Black people? Simply because they're Black, and simply because they have a position and they have a title is what's celebrated. And to me, going back to education serves a particular function. Is to teach you how to operate and maintain your quote-unquote status quo. So if the status quo is anti-Black, then what you think these educated people go do? That's why I tell people, like, read the books for yourself. Because a lot of these Black specialists, they ain't Black specialists. Well, they are Black quote-unquote specialists, but they telling you a half truth. I tell people, if you want to know the truth, stay away from motivational speakers. They got author facts. They take outliers and make outliers look like general rules. So you have 100 failed stories, but you're gonna take that one success story and you're gonna make that the status quo. And then you're gonna say, well, look, if this one person can make it and you can't, then all y'all doing it wrong. But No, 100 people failed before that. So why don't we use, and that's how they do disabled people. You got one disabled motivational speaker. You got that one disabled person who got a couple dollars in the bank. And then they look at you, why you ain't doing what that other disabled person doing? Like, why you ain't a motivational speaker like that? Okay, but how many
Oh my
disabled people
God.
are stuck in poverty? How many of them stuck in poverty though?
Say it
So-
again, brother. Say it again. Oh my God, Keith, you're so motivational. No, I'm not. I'm no motivation. Why am I motivating you? Why? Because you're looking at me going, oh my God, if his black cripple ass can get up and go do it, well, I know I can go do it. Is that the motivation? Is that it? That you looking at me and going, you know what, man, his cripple ass is getting up and going to do this shit, then shit, I gotta get up and do it. I ain't get that. If that's the impetus for you getting up, I don't want to be your motivation. If me having to confront you at a national political convention to set the political agenda which will affect every aspect of my life, and I show up and you're caught off guard, you don't need to be involved in not near bit of decision making that has anything to do with anything. Sit your ass down. Because if you can look, I was just looking here. Right, they're talking about everybody supporting people are fracturing for Bernie. They're talking about Bernie versus Biden, but what about Flavor Flav versus Chuck D? Like, this is the level of the discourse we're having. Even though we started the show with that we gave it a deeper analysis. Because it wasn't about Chuck D and Flavor Flav, it's about how you as a black person are going to relate to a political establishment that in my 50 years has never given us what they said they're going to give us. We have structural abject poverty. By every social metric, you see a negative trend line. And like you said, Ottis, well, remember when Obama was in office? And when Clinton was in office, we had really, Lateef, we had joy. Black people we had homes. We were buying up neighborhoods, and then we were doing it at inflated credit costs because we got blown out of the water with predatory lending. So no, I do not have faith that our intellectuals will be intellectual. We're doomed.
I'm telling you, when that thing with Oprah and Gail and Snoop Dogg popped off, and then I see these quote unquote black intellectuals spending weeks on this dumb, monotonous conversation. Like, you're a black intellectual. You got a whole lot more fish to fry than this schoolhouse drama right here.
Exactly.
Like, I'm insulted I even followed you. I once thought you was a black intellectual. Like, if you gonna spend weeks on this gossip, like, because either way it goes, how does this benefit me? Or how does this benefit the collective, I should say? Or how does this enlighten the collective? Like, what lessons can you pull? What lessons can you really pull from Gail and Snoop Dogg drama? Not a one.
You didn't get the lesson. You didn't get the lesson.
I ain't gonna know a goddamn thing.
And you know what? At the same time, Donald Trump is attacking SSIR freaking benefits. That's like, I don't care about Snoop. Donald Trump is going to take away my SSIR.
Right. Well, let's. If you want to have the larger context, this is how you frame the context. If you want to get people, because in order to get people now to pay attention, you have to give them like intellectual shock treatment. Like, you have to take a taser to the medulla. That bad. Here's reality. In 1937, between 1937 and 1939, prior to throwing Jews and taking all of them, they wiped out 2 million people with disabilities. Silence. If you think, but if you say something negative about the Jewish state to a politician who's a Democrat, who's a diehard Jewish supporter, they will cut you off at the knees. But they will miss the larger point. that you still, as hard as you're defending Jews, there are 60 million people in this country with disabilities who suffer just as much as those, who are suffering as much now in your own version of concentration camps because you have substandard home and community-based care, but you don't want to have that discussion. And don't put an accent or any kind of melanin in it, because then we might as well just cook you in the oven like a hot pocket anyway. So I don't want to, and again, so when I see my man just put up his picture, was like, I'm supporting Bernie, correct. But of course you are, because none of you all are willing to get off of, you know, if you're going to be a revolutionary, that means you can't do the same thing. You can't say I'm going to be a revolutionary and run as a Democrat. I'm going to be a progressive and run as a Democrat. We are facing a pandemic, and no candidate has said this is the sole reason we need universal comprehensive national health care. They're talking about, well, we're going to, Chuck Schumer making promises that Medicaid will be able to pay for the vaccine if it comes along so your crippled ass don't die. That's not reassuring, Chuck. Like, so, I'm going to have to wait for you to get consensus to pass legislation to say that Medicaid should be able to buy a vaccine so the people of the United States don't die. How are they running the country? How?
Yeah.
Because in order for them to do it, somebody has to keep them in power, because they are seeing that there's a personal benefit in for them.
Okay, Keith. Okay, Lateef, I want to give you some space to talk about it. We're coming to the end, I think, but yeah, I want to give you space. Yeah. So Lateef.
Yes, that inspiration porn is addicting to these temporary able-bodied people, Keith. They'll like us inspiring them. And speaking of concentration camps, fascism is on the rise in this country. And that means we add as Black disabled people are more in, and that means we as Black disabled people are more in danger as people become more reaction V reactionary in their politics and actions, and that means we as Black disabled people are more in danger as people become more reactionary in their politics and actions.
So true, Lateef. So true. I want to go around one time to, give your last thoughts on Black ableism and what what we can do. You know, we talked about the problems. You know, what we can do. So, who wants to go first?
I'll go.
Okay, good.
We would never have a truly humane system, because to have a truly humane system means the establishment as a whole will fall. For me, 'cause it's built off of inhumanity, be it sexism, be it ableism, be it racism. If all of those things go, the establishment goes. So I think one of the biggest things we could do to at least alleviate some of the problems, maybe not kill it, is to distinguish what is Black culture and what isn't. To distinguish the separation between what we created as a people versus what was implanted in us from slavery and from our ongoing colonialism, or exploitation, I should say.
Keith, you want to go?
Oh, sure. Then the solution is complexly simple, or simply complex. Let me say it that way. The complexity is that you're dealing with humans that have been socially engineered, whether they are on the spectrum. And so when people talk about decolonizing the mind, that you know, the depth and the nuance that we need to really do that over the long term, it has to be a dedicated, concerted effort, which means that, you know, how do you get an addict to get clean? They first, in order to deal with the problem, you first have to admit the problem, right? So if you're not admitting, so if you don't see my humanity as valuable to even have the discussion about why I'm not at the table, we're not even going to get to the point where fixing Black ableism is possible. So one of the major solutions is starting in, is working from the family out, right? Like, so I got brothers, I got cousins, I got nieces, right? So us being visible and being out and just being Black, we have a different kind of way of working with it. But in terms of the larger scale social justice issue about Black ableism and how it plays into what we have been talking about moving forward, we, again, as we say every time, we are asking people to do something that they are not going to do. They're not going to do it because they don't see a benefit or gain in it personally for them. You know this in terms of social justice work when it comes to people with disabilities. The vast majority of people in the disability rights movement are people that have a direct personal connection to somebody, and it's usually very disability specific. There's very few crossovers, or the proportion is not as much as it should be. So a very tangible first step is to issue a challenge. And not like, yo, I'm gonna meet you in the back and fuck you up. But like, it's, here's a call to Black intellectuals and Black politicians or people of color. Are you ever going to talk about disability in a true, meaningful fashion? And of course you know the answer, but you put it in the ethos in order for it to be out there. So when you start bringing us the solution and putting them into play, that they can't act stupid. Because again, we're dealing with people who are intellectuals. So I'm thinking that, the practical solution is we have to be the change, and that we have to inspire the generations underneath us that, yes, it's rough now, but by the time you get to where we are, hopefully, if we do it right, you shouldn't have a problem.
Okay, Lateef, you want to go, or should I go? Should I go? Okay, let me go. I think we all said it, from Ottis to Keith, we all said it. We've been saying it for 52 years or whatever years that we've been on this earth. And I have to say that, we're doing it. It's not a large national campaign. And I think our activism has changed over the decades. So, trying to look for a national one leader. Those days have been gone. We had to really uplift, people on the ground that's doing it. I was involved with Detroit's Black Disabled Open Forum a couple days ago, the first one of its kind, and they just did it. They didn't wait for a Ford Foundation grant to come through. They did it, I can go through all of us. Otis, you're doing your art, keep it running for president, so we're doing it. So, like Keith says, we are the answer. And I just, there's just really headaches constantly because we're dealing with intellectuals that just don't get it, I mean, Eric Dyson just like blew me off at the DMC, whatever, We're still putting out artwork. Artwork is still doing events, and we're still doing us. So that's that's all we can do. And we can point out things when things are not right. I just say no to this award because they had racist fucking history toward me and the Black community. I was like, F your award, But, a lot of Black activists won't do that. They just like to collect awards and collect grants and climb that ladder. That's me. Lateef, you got the last word. And thank you, people. Thank you. This is incredible talk. And I've been getting feedback, and people are just waiting for this talk to go up.
Uh-oh. So much for my candidacy, huh?
I just want to say, Leroy, one last thing. Like, you turning down that award, that's the stuff we need to celebrate as Black history. Because as Franz Fanon said, the only thing promotion and awards and accolades do is reinforce your involvement in the establishment. And that's what a lot of quote-unquote Black leaders do. They got awards, so we celebrate them. Although their interests go completely against the collective interests. But hey, they got nominated. So that's the stuff we need to celebrate. So I commend you.
Thank you. Lateef, take it away.
Reality. We need more education, as I said before, and we need to sit people down and explain that ableism is a reality. Reality. We need more education, as I said before, and we need to sit people down and explain that ableism is a reality. And I think that maybe we need to be more visible in critiquing these Black leaders and scholars, and I think that maybe we need to be more visible in critiquing these Black leaders and scholars.
Yes.
Yes. I want to say that Lateef and I, you talk about putting it to the test. Lateef and I on Wednesday are going to walk into a Black bookstore with our new books and say, hey, are you down to having an event here? Now that's putting the Black establishment to the test in their face. It's the same bookstore said no to me and Gay Greg when I had my own nonprofit for disabled people of color in the 90s.
What?
So we're going to go back to the same Black bookstore with our new books and say, hey, these are new books, and we want an event in your Black bookstore. So just wait, and we'll put out the results. We're once again testing our Black establishment with our art, writing, and our disability. So yeah. So any last words before I turn this off? Thank you once again. This has been great.
Deuces, man. Deuces. So let's go get it. Let's go get it.
All right, Otis, any last words?
Nah, family,
This.
I think I'm good. Like I said, I really commend you on standing on your principles. I know more of us did that during this 2020 election. More of us did that during this 2020 election. Man, you already know.
All right, Lateef, any last words?
Is awesome. That we have more time to discuss this important issue and I am happy to be a part of it. This is awesome that we have more time to discuss this important issue, and I am happy to be a part of it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Let's get it.
All right, people, much love. And
Yes.
I will let you know when this goes out.
True.
It's been fun, family.
One more thing. We got a venue for our Black Disabled Comic-Con Resort Art Show.
Okay, that's what's up.
Yes.
It's about to go down.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
Okay. Good night, people.
Good
Peace.
night.
Peace.